Professor, what are the Bogardus scale, Sociometric scale, and Guttman scale?
Sure. Today, I will explain the Bogardus scale, Sociometric scale, and Guttman scale. The Bogardus scale is a measurement used to determine the social distance between different social groups, such as race, ethnicity, and social class. It is also known as the Bogardus social distance scale. For example, when measuring attitudes towards a multicultural society, a scale is created for respondents to answer a survey that measures social distance, including options such as can marry, can become friends with, can accept with a neighbor, etc., for people from the United Kingdom, Sweden, Poland, and Italy. As seen on the survey, the scale is designed in order from the most favorable response to the most unfavorable response. Respondents who choose option 1 are assumed to agree with options 2 to 7 as a natural progression. This type of survey design, where responses are arranged in a cumulative order, is referred to as a cumulative scale. In other words, the Bogardus scale is an example of a cumulative scale. The Bogardus scale is used to measure how much social distance one group maintains from another group and to assess the familiarity between groups. On the other hand, when measuring familiarity between individuals, the sociometric scale, which I will explain next, is used. The sociometric scale is a measurement used to assess interpersonal relationships. It measures the level of familiarity between individuals. The sociometric scale was developed by Jacob Moreno, a psychiatrist. Let's consider an example of the sociometric scale. In the depicted case, high school students are surveying their counseling relationships with friends. If student A sought counseling from students B and C, they would mark a circle on B and C in the lower direction. If student B did not seek counseling from anyone, no marking would be made. Student C sought counseling from students A, B, and D, so they would mark circles on A, B, and D in the lower direction. Student D sought counseling from student B, so they would mark circles on B in the lower direction. When summarizing the survey results, student A sought counseling from 2 friends, student B did not seek counseling from anyone, student C sought counseling from 3 friends, and student D sought counseling from 1 friend. Additionally, student A provided counseling to 1 person, student B provided counseling to 3 people, and it can be observed that students C and D provided counseling to 1 person each. Therefore, student C has the most active interpersonal relationships, while student B is the most trusted by their friends. Now, let's explain the sociogram scale. The sociogram is a scale that represents counseling relationships among high school students using diagrams and arrows. For example, let's consider the counseling cases of 4 high school students. If student A sought counseling from students B and C, they would indicate arrows pointing to B and C, respectively. And since student A provided counseling to student C, arrows would point from C to A. Similarly, student B received arrows from students A, C, and D, indicating that student B provided counseling to these students. Student C pointed arrows at students A, B, and D, indicating counseling with these individuals. And since arrows pointed from A to C, it suggests student C provided counseling to student A. Student D sought counseling from student B. By counting the number of arrows, we can evaluate a student's sociability. This scale, represented by arrows and diagrams, is called a sociogram. The Guttman scale is a cumulative scale designed for a unidimensional survey. Here comes the difficult word, unidimensional questionnaire and cumulative design. First, what is a unidimensional questionnaire? For example, as shown in the figure, if a questionnaire is created for one subject, garbage disposal facilities, it is called a unidimensional survey in the sense that it focuses on a single dimension. In addition, It is said that the questionnaire was designed cumulatively, in which the answer choices range from the most lenient response, such as allow installation in my next door, to the most stringent response, creating a progressive sequence. The Guttman scale is a scale developed by the social psychologist Louis Guttman. There are important considerations with the Guttman scale. When analyzing survey results by inputting responses into a computer, if an inconsistent response is found where the respondent answered positively for option 1 and option 5 but negatively for the remaining options, this response should be excluded as it lacks coherence and indicates an error. The proportion of responses that need to be excluded among all the survey responses is called the reproducibility coefficient, CR. The calculation of the reproducibility coefficient is obtained by subtracting the number of errors from 1 and dividing it by the total number of respondents multiplied by the total number of questions. A Guttman scale is considered desirable when the reproducibility coefficient is 0.9 or higher, indicating an error rate of less than 10%. The Bogardus scale mentioned earlier can also be considered as one of the Guttman scales.
Professor, I learned very interesting skills this class. Just like how there is social distancing in our COVID-19 pandemic, there is social distance used in social analysis as well. Thank you for today's class.